Hey guys, this is Zebra Girl, and today I'm bringing you part 8 of Static and Love, and this chapter is called He Awakes. It's been about 3 weeks since Lucas was born, and he is a very smart little boy. He has grown up very quickly. Even though it's already been 3 months, 3 weeks, he already looks like a 5-year-old boy. You and Dark decided not to send him to school as his age rate might be spotted, and plus he has a crimson eye and he might scare the other children. So you homeschool him. He looks so much like Dark. The only thing you see him about you is a sea blue eye. It was 9 in the morning when you woke up next to Dark. You kissed him on the head, and being careful not to wake him up. You got dressed and went into Dark's old room that now belongs to Lucas. But he isn't anywhere to be found. You look around, but nothing. When you look up, you see him asleep, but flying? You got on the bed and whispered, "Lucas, time to get up." He made a cute, tired sound as he turns to see you by him. You put your arms around him and you pick him up and you set him on the bed. He looks up at you. "Was I sleep flying again, Mommy?" You smile. "Yeah, you were." You sat him on your lap and said, "I'm gonna go make breakfast for us. Then it's time for lessons, okay?" Lucas nodded happily. "I love your lessons, Mummy. But," he said with a sad face. "But what, little man?" "When Daddy is teaching me how to use my powers, he gets angry and shouts at me." You hug him to make him feel better. "Hey, I'll have a word with Daddy, okay?" You felt something poke your face. You look at Lucas's head to see tiny horns coming through. You smile. "Your horns are coming through, though." Lucas giggles. "Will Daddy be happy?" "Yeah, he will." You place Lucas on the bed and you stand up. He was about to stand up until you said, "Hey, wanna try and fly into the living room?" Lucas looks at you with another sad face. "But I can't fly very well." He really couldn't fly very well. The best he could do is lift his feet off the floor and move some inches until he falls on the floor. "Come on, if you can fly that high in your sleep, I bet you can do it. I bet you can fly to the living room." He stretches his small wings out. His wings are rather small, but they are growing slowly. They start to flap, and he closes his eyes until he opens them and he realizes he's higher than normal. He giggles. "Come on, Lucas, you can do it." He slowly moved forwards to you, and you slowly started to back away into the living room. He came out of his room, sweating. "Mommy, I can't." His wings slowly started to slow down and lower him. "Come on, Lucas, you're almost there. Imagine how happy Daddy will be." Then Lucas's eyes burst open and started to flap faster and move faster towards you. You noticed your room door was open slightly, and you saw Dark staring at you and Lucas. "Come on, little man, you're almost there." He flapped faster, and you caught him, and you both began to laugh. He looked at you with a smile. "You did it! Well done, I'm so proud of you." But then he looked sad again, but not knowing his dad was in the corridor waiting for something. "Then why isn't Daddy proud of me?" Then Dark's face went sad. Then you noticed him. Then you pointed him out to Lucas. "Why don't you ask him that?" You turn Lucas around to see his dad. He puts his small wings back into his back and slowly walks up to Dark, and Dark comes down to his level. "Why aren't you proud of me, Daddy?" Then Dark hugs him. Lucas has never been hugged by his dad before. Then he stops hugging him and puts his hand on his shoulders. I am proud of you, Lucas. I couldn't be more proud of you. I saw you fly to your mommy, and that made me so happy. Lucas still looks sad. Then why do you get angry when we train? Dark sighed. By your age, I was able to do so much, and I thought if we did some hard training, then you'd be powerful. But I have to shout in order for you to concentrate more. Lucas smiled at Dark and put his hand on his dad's face, only to give him a small shock. Dark fell and landed on his back, and Lucas laughed, and so did you. What was that? Dark asked. Oh, he can use the dark electricity, but that's all he can do at the moment, you say. Dark sat up and smiled. Not bad, little guy. Just wait until you can use that properly. Now, I'm going back to bed. Dark stood up and walked to your room when Lucas said, Lazy bones. Dark laughed and closed the door. Lucas ran over to you and hugged your leg, and you made his hair messy. I told you I'd have a word with him. Lucas looked up to you with a confused face. But I told him. You didn't say anything. I wasn't really going to have a word with him. You had to say it to him, not me. Then why did you say you were going to have a word with him? So I could make you feel better, but you were the only one who could speak to him. Confusing. Very confusing. Then Lucas lets go of your leg and runs and sits at the table. You start to walk to the kitchen when you look at Lucas. Cereal or pancakes? Pancakes, please, Mum. Do you want red soda or not? He nods to symbolise yes. While you were making pancakes, Mark came out of his room looking like a mess. Hey, Uncle Mark! Mark smiled and sat next to him at the table. Hey, Jamp, how are you? Really good. I flew from my room to here when I woke up. Mark hugged him. Well done. Well done. Thanks. Is Mummy making pancakes? Yeah. Why do you look so tired, Uncle Mark? I was up until 3 playing games. That isn't good for you. Mark stroked his hair and sighed. Yeah, I know. Then you came out with a sack of pancakes, and you placed them on the table, and Lucas took all of them. Hey, little guy, they're not all for you. You pulled the plates back, but Lucas said with a smile on his face, Lucas had a smile on his face. Are you okay, Mark? He looked up at you and mouthed, I need to talk to you. Mark stood up and you followed him to his room. Molly, I feel like something bad is going to happen. Why? I dreamt of him last night, saying that he was coming after you. You need to be careful because I'm fearing that one of these days he might come back. You hugged Mark and said, and if he does, we'll be ready for him. Mark smiled. Come on, let's go and have some breakfast. You and Mark walk out and Lucas is still there waiting. How many pancakes would you like, Lucas? 2, please. You placed 2 of them on a plate and gave them to Lucas, and gave him a knife and fork. Eat nicely, okay? How many would you like, Mark? Just 1, please. You also place 1 on Mark's plate. And you hand it over. Mum, can I have some red soda, please? You put his favourite moustache cup in front of him and go to the kitchen. But instead of getting red soda, you got milk instead, and you brought it out. Mommy, what's that? This is milk. It will make your bones nice and strong. Would you like to taste it for me? Lucas nodded his head in approval, and you poured him half a cup. and he slowly took a sip. What do you think? He didn't answer, as he had drank it all. I think that's the answer to your questions, said Mark with a smile. Lucas lifted his cup and asked, Can I have more, please? You poured him a full cup and he drank it slowly. This time. Then Dark came out of his room, with a black jumper and dark blue trousers. You looked over as he walked into the living room. I thought you were going back to sleep, babes. Dark looked over at you with a smile. I couldn't sleep as I'm too proud. Anyway, I'm going for my daily flight. Lucas looked up at his dad and asked, Can I come? Please? Dark smiled and said, Sure, but since you're still new at flying, you'll have to hold my hand. Lucas giggles as he spilt his milk all over himself. Oh dear, buddy, said Dark. Then the little boy stood up and said, I'll go get dressed. You and Mark and Dark smiled as he went into his room. You looked at Dark and said, He really wants to make you happy, you know. He looks up to you, Dark, said you and Mark. Yeah, I know, but I don't know how to be a dad. You and Mark thought for a minute, then an idea popped into your head. Hey, after your flight, why not take him to the park? Dark gave you a concerned look. And what if the children are there and he uses his powers on them? You simply tell him not to, and tell him not to talk about his powers. I don't think that's a good idea, but when he's older, Dark and you could take him. You looked sad. Yeah, I guess. Then Lucas ran out of his room in a set of brand new clothes. He did a little jump and flew to his dad and he caught him. Wow, impressive! Come on, let's go. Dark, instead of unlocking the door, he walked through it. He then poked his head through. Come on, Lucas. But I can't do that. You looked at him. Try. He slowly walked forward towards the door and closed his eyes and walked through it. You heard Dark and Lucas giggle as they took off. After they went, Mark ate the breakfast and you both started playing some video games. Time skip, 2 hours. I won't let you beat me again, Mark. Okay then, let's try again. You both were playing Mortal Kombat X. You chose Sub-Zero and Mark chose Scorpion. But once again, Mark won and you dropped your controller. I told you, you couldn't beat me. You looked at Mark and almost said, You son of a bitch. Then Dark walked through the door with Lucas in his arms asleep. You look out of breath. Dark looked at you. You have no idea. He slowly walked to your room and placed Lucas on the bed. And Dark walked back into the living room, sat down and sighed. Why so tired? Mark asked. That kid is fast. After I let go of his hand to see if he could fly by himself, he zoomed past me and I couldn't catch him. He was somehow faster than me and his wings are small. I don't know how he is that fast. You giggled. So you're not the fastest flyer then? He looked at you blushing. Yeah, I am. I won't be beaten by a kid. You all laughed when you saw Lucas stood at the door of the living room. Lucas, are you okay? Mark asked. But then the little boy fell and landed on his side. You all quickly ran to him and you picked him up. Lucas, what's wrong? Then he coughed up blood and said, The bad man hurt me, Mummy. You looked at Dark and Mark, and laughter filled the house. You lifted up Lucas's top to see a bullet with pink smoke coming out of it. You handed Lucas to Dark and you ran to your room to find some medical supplies, as you keep them there, as it's safer. Dark began to cry. Daddy, It hurts. Dark sat Dark sat with him and Mark sat down next to him. I know it does, buddy. It's gonna be okay. Dark made a small ball of smoke and placed it over the wound, and it entered, slowly trying to remove the bullet. Lucas began to shake. Hey, it's okay, champ. Daddy's helping. He continued to shake until the bullet was removed. It was a golden bullet. While you were looking for the medical supplies in your room, the door suddenly shut. You ran to the door to find it was locked. Hey! Let me out! Mark and Dark looked down the hall, wondering what was going on. Dark placed Lucas on the sofa. Stay here, okay? He nodded. Mark and Dark slowly moved towards the door. And a pink light appeared and someone stood in front of the door. It was Wilford Wolfstash. He smiled. Good day, gentlemen. So good to see you again. Dark ran at him, only to go straight through him and hit the door. Mark went over and helped him up, then backed away. Now that's no way to treat a brother, is it? Mark looked at him with anger. You're no brother of ours after what you've done. Wilfred took his gun out and shot Mark in the leg. It was an accident, I swear. Dark looked at Mark, then went back to Wilfred. You let her go now, you bastard! I don't think so, little brother. If you want to find her, come to Raspy Hill. Wilfred started to laugh and he disappeared. Dark, you have to save her. Dark kneeled down to Mark and got the bullet and he got the bullet out saying, I know, but I'm going to need your help. I want to help Mummy too, said Lucas, standing at the door of the living room. I can't lose both of you, Lucas. Then he screamed, I don't care! I want to help! Mark slowly got up and said, He could help us, Dark. Dark looks at Lucas and agrees for his son's help. Meanwhile, behind the door, Help me! And pink smoke starts to form around you and starts to turn into a human. It was Wilfred. He was hugging you, but one hand was on your breast and the other was on your down below area. You tried to get out of his grip, but it wouldn't work. He then slowly turned to a proper human, not smoke. You're so beautiful. You blushed in embarrassment as he continues to hold you. I can't wait to have you, he whispered again. You hissed at the words. I'll never be yours, you creep. He just laughed and then let you go. You turned around to see the guy. This is just another dream, isn't it? Then you noticed that all your stuff started to appear, turning into something else. A pink king-size bed, a desk with a mirror. This is no dream, Buttercup. I'm real, and you're living with me now. Then you hear a massive thud. Everything was different. The door was no longer there, but instead a window. You looked out to see where you were. You saw a small bed of flowers, a hedge maze, and a swing set? You turned back to Wilford. Do you like it? I chose them just for you. He slowly walked towards you. You couldn't move and there was nowhere else to run. Then he was a few inches away from your face. And he kissed you on the lips. And you pushed him away. Don't ever kiss me! Don't kiss me! Ever! You demanded. Now take me home! I'm sorry, I can't do that. See, I can't go to the human world because I was banished. But through your mind, I managed to gather power and teleported you here. Now, you can never leave, he said with a smile. He then turned to your door and was about to leave when he made a pink case appear. I would like you to get dressed, please. Dinner is almost ready. Google, keep an eye on her so she doesn't escape. Then a robot that looks like Mark walked in. Yes, sir. Wilfred then closed the door, and you sat on the bed and started to cry. Miss, I recommend you get dressed, as Master gets very angry when he doesn't get his own way. You didn't want to get hurt, so you opened the case to reveal a pink dress with pink heels and a pink suit top. Google, could you turn around, please? Yes, miss. He turned around as you got dressed. The dress was tight, but you managed to get it inside of it, and you put the heels on. Could you zip me up, please? Yes. Google walked over and slowly zipped you up as you asked. Then you asked, How long have you been here, Google? A very long time, miss. You turned to face him. How do I look? Google smiled. Very nice. You didn't feel nice. You felt sick knowing that you'd been kidnapped by a crazy demon. Then you put the suit top on. And you saw the desk with some lipstick, so you walked over and decided to put some on. Miss, Wilfred finds makeup horrible. If you put that on, he might hurt you. You shrugged. If wearing makeup means he'll let me go, then fine. No, miss, he won't let you go. He will punish you. Really badly. You put it on nonetheless. And it was hot pink. I don't care. Fine. Let's go down. Google opened the door and walked out. You looked around to see lots of paintings of Wilfred, and a lot of locked doors too. When you and Google exited the long corridor, you entered the main room. A big flight of stairs led down with a big pink chandelier. On the flight of stairs was a massive red carpet. And Google says, The door on your left is the dinner room. He's waiting for you. You quickly turn to Google. Is there anything I can do to get rid of this lipstick? Google puts his thumb on the edge of your lips and runs across, making the lipstick disappear. You realised your mistake? I don't want him to kill me. You turned and slowly walked down the stairs, making sure you didn't fall. You made it to the bottom and walked to the dining room doors. They were golden double doors. You pushed them open to see a long table with Wilfred at one end and an empty chair at the other. He looked over to you, stood up and walked to you. You look lovely, my dear. You didn't look at him, and you had an angry expression on your face as he linked arms with you. You quickly unlinked your arms. Would you prefer me to hold your hand instead? You look down at him. Don't touch me. As you started to walk to your chair, you hear a gun click behind you, and you gasp. Now, I don't want to hurt you, Molly, but it's getting very difficult to hold that back. You really didn't want to get killed, so you turned to him and held out your hand. He smiled and put the gun away, and he grabs your hand. That's better, see? That wasn't so hard. You wanted this to be over and done with, but you fear that there's still worse to come. He pulled out the chair for you when you sat down, and as he pushed the chair in, you looked up and smiled at him, so you didn't feel uncomfortable. You looked down at his trousers to see something pushing out a bit, and you blushed, noticing what was going on. He sat down at the other end of the table, and he looked at you, noticing you were blushing at something. He smiled. See something you like, sweetie? You look at him angrily. No, I don't. It's not like I would like to be with you or anything. He just laughed and said, You will love me after what I'm going to put you through. You let out a small giggle. Dark is the only one I will ever love. Then a pink puff of smoke happens, and he appears right next to you, only for him to grab your throat and throw you against the wall. And you hear a crack against the wall. You look at your arm to see it bleeding, and you think you may have broken it. And he walks over to you. I didn't want to do that to you, but you kinda, but you made me. He saw the blood coming out of your arm and on the dress. He then put his hand over it and pink smoke leaked into it and mixing with your wound, only to fix it. He then again grabbed you by the neck and pushing you against the wall. Now be a good little girl and shut your mouth, he said, dropping you. Then you ran, leaving the heels on the floor. You ran to your room and shutting the door. You go down by the door and you begin to cry. Dark, please help me. Then the door began to bang and bang. You screamed as you fell in surprise, getting to the corner of the room. But then pink ooze started to come through the door, coming closer to you. You stand up and go to the other corner of the room, only for the ooze to spread out more, covering the entire room. And then 2 pink arms come out from the ooze and grab you by the wrists and lift you in the air. Let me go! You struggled, but you couldn't get out. And a 3rd arm appeared, grabbing the dress and ripping it off, and ripping the suit top, exposing your bra and underwear. Then another arm grabs you by the ankles. No, please! I don't want this! Then the ooze arms throws you onto the bed. But as soon as you land onto the bed, to be held in place by the ooze arms. Then the ooze starts to form into Wolford. As he appears from it, he then unbuttons his suit top, then his shirt, then his trousers. He takes off his shoes and socks, only leaving him in his boxers, and you could see him pulsing. You struggled again to get out, but nothing was working. There is no point struggling, Buttercup. You know this was going to happen if you didn't do as I told you. You thought maybe he would stop, but he didn't. He did stuff to you that you wish had never happened, and he used you during the incident. But it didn't last. After everything happened, you lied on your bed thinking. Wilfred got dressed and was about to exit your room when he said, "See you tomorrow, babes." He then left and you began to cry. Dark, please help me. Okay, that was chapter 8. I'm sorry if that was a bit sensitive. I think you kind of tell what happened in the last paragraph, so sorry for the sensitive stuff again, but I hope you enjoyed. Bye!